Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Principles of Marketing. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the benefits of e-business. So what happens when a business goes from just a bricks and mortar physical location to actually doing business on the internet? As you could probably imagine, there are a whole lot of benefits to that for the business and also for the customers involved. So we're going to take a look at that, but before we dive into that, I want to take you back in time a little bit to the year 1997. Now, I had just arrived on campus at Milligan College in Johnson City, Tennessee, fresh out of Indiana. And one of the first things that people started saying to me when I got down south was, hey, Yankee, you really have to try Southern barbecue. And they started naming off some of the places, in Johnson City that I should go to. And one of the places I kept hearing about was a place called Ridgewood BBQ. Ridgewood BBQ, come to find out, was a really small hole-in-the-wall, greasy spoon barbecue joint in the middle of nowhere in Bluff City, Tennessee, just outside of Bristol, Tennessee. So people, you got to go check out Ridgewood. You got to go check out Ridgewood. And, freshman year of college, I didn't get to really do that because I was as broke as the Ten Commandments, and I didn't even have a car my first term in college, so I had to wait a little while. But finally, I made the trek out to Ridgewood BBQ. And I'm telling you, this place is in the middle of nowhere. I got a map view here for you in Google Maps. You can kind of see, literally, this barbecue joint is in the middle of a bunch of woods on the side of the road, way away from anything in town. I mean, you got to make the trek to get to this place. But I get there and the place is packed. Usually it is a full parking lot, and you look at this place and like, okay, it's just kind of a long white building. Looks like an older place. You can't see it in the photo, but the little smoke shack is over here where they smoke the meat, and it looks like something you'd see in somebody's backyard. But the place is just bustling all the time. And you go in there, and again, it's just a greasy spoon kind of diner, old, yellow walls, grease on the ceiling, and just not a lot of ambiance. But man, the food was amazing. And I think back to that, businesses back then, really, you had to do one of two things. You either had to be really a standout in providing a great product, like Ridgewood, or you had to have a great location, get a lot of foot traffic. Ridgewood didn't have that. They built their entire business from the 1940s on just by word of mouth and having repeat customers come in and then tell their friends about it and send their friends there. And you think about that business starting up, in 30, 40 years later in the 80s or something like that, they may not have been as successful because they didn't have that great location. So in the days before the internet came along, if you were a business, you had to either be dang good at what you did, or you better be pretty convenient. You better have that foot traffic to drive customers in there in that great location. Fast forward to now, and those things aren't as important as far as location is concerned. You still better be dang good, but that physical location isn't as important anymore. So now, a place like Ridgewood, if I'm a traveler, a tourist, or new to the area, and I'm trying to find a place to eat, I don't have to have that local word of mouth. I can just get on a site like TripAdvisor or Yelp, type in Johnson City or Bluff City Barbecue, and bam, that's going to pop up, and I can see the photos of the place. I can see the reviews and say, yeah, I'm going to try that place out. It looks pretty good. Even if I don't go that route, if I just go to Google and type in, East Tennessee Best Barbecue, I might get directed to a link from a magazine like Southern Living, where they've done an article about the best barbecue places in the entire South of the United States. And I can see Ridgewood on that list at number 43 and go check it out. Just simple things like that we kind of take for granted now, either as a customer or a business. 25 years ago, they didn't exist. So the paradigm has really shifted for businesses, and that location isn't quite as critical now as it was maybe 20, 30 years ago. And so we're going to do 3 different lectures here. The first one, we're going to look at the benefits of e-business. Then we'll talk about some of the challenges of e-business. And we'll talk about what makes an e-business successful on the internet there. So we'll jump right into it. Benefits of e-business. First of all, there's a global reach that we have access to that we didn't have 20 or 30 years ago. The world is now our customer. And I like to use the example of Etsy. If you're not familiar with Etsy, it's a website where people that do crafts, they can get on there and sell their handmade jewelry and different things like that to people over the internet. You think about a person in Wilmington, Ohio, before Etsy came along, and before eBay and that kind of thing, these internet marketplaces, if they were doing something like that, really their outlets might be a flea market. Maybe they could go to the fair and set up a booth at the fair and sell some of their product. And so they were really limited in the time that they could sell their product and also the market size. They're limited to just whoever happens to walk by that booth at the flea market. Now with Etsy, I can put my handmade crafts on Etsy and I can sell to the whole world. So the internet really kind of opens up that portal and kind of makes the world your marketplace, which is a huge benefit for businesses, especially ones that don't have a whole lot of capital. There's the ability for a business to personalize the shopping experience. If you have an Amazon account, you've probably noticed that logging on to Amazon, that landing page looks a lot different if you log on than if you just visit Amazon.com and you haven't logged in. If you're logged into Amazon, they personalize that page according to what you've bought from them in the past, what you've looked at on Amazon.com, and maybe if you're a Prime Video or Prime Music subscriber, they put some of that in there too. And so you can see the landing page when I log on to Amazon. I've got a greeting there, calls me by name, recommend some different categories for me to look at, maybe based on previous orders I've made. I could pick up where I left off watching Amazon Prime. I could go back to what I have recently viewed and maybe make a purchase if I didn't buy it, or maybe buy it again. So all of that is geared towards improving the experience for me as a customer when I log on to Amazon. There's also an element of interactive marketing that we can pull in when we deal with e-business. And to kind of go back to Amazon there, interactive marketing is triggered by a specific event. So if I go on Amazon and I put something in my shopping cart and I leave it there and I don't buy it, Amazon will send me an email sometime later saying, hey, you left an item in your shopping cart. Come on back and buy it. And these businesses know that close to 55% sometimes people don't carry out their shopping cart and buy it. They just leave it in there. So Amazon's smart enough to send a nice little reminder. Hey, did you really want that electric chainsaw? It's still here waiting for you. And I actually did go back and buy that. Not based on that. I just kind of went back a couple days later and bought it after I did some more research. But it turned out to be a great chainsaw. Any kind of power tool is fun to play with. And that's definitely no exception there. Another benefit of e-business is this idea of right time marketing. I can target people and send them the right message at the right time at the right location. A perfect example of that, I've got the Wendy's app on my phone. And about twice a week, I'll get a little notification from Wendy's. Pops up a push notification, and it'll say, come on over to Wendy's and buy a combo and get a discount. Or they'll have some kind of new menu item that they're promoting right at lunchtime. Like I'll get it like at 11:15, 11:30 in the morning. And that message is catered to me and my location and trying to get me to go to Wendy's at lunch. So that's something that definitely a place like Ridgewood BBQ could have never done 40 or 50 years ago. Another benefit of e-business is the idea of integrated marketing. All of these different marketing things that we do can kind of come together over the internet and on our internet website and our app that we have as a business. And Nike's a really good example of that. If you've seen Nike commercials lately, you probably noticed their new shoe called the Joyride. It's new technology where they put little balls into the heel of the shoe. It's supposed to cushion your foot as you run. And they've been promoting that on TV. They've been promoting it in social media. And if you go to their website, you see all that branding, all the same kind of messages kind of tying together to promote that product. So integrated marketing is that idea where we have a place on the internet where it takes everything and brings it back together in one spot. And for customers, we have benefits as well. The book talks about competitive pricing. It's very easy for me as a customer to get on the internet, and I can go to a number of different websites quicker than I could go to physical locations in my car for the purposes of comparing prices. A convenient factor there. I don't have to go out and see people. I can sit at my house and order from my home here, have it delivered right to my door. It saves me time, saves me money. So there's definite benefits for customers when we talk about e-business. But I just kind of want to point out one thing though, because your book kind of talks about competitive pricing, but they don't really talk about what I'm getting ready to say. And that's the idea of a lot of these big internet behemoths, like the Amazons and now Best Buy and Walmart and Target and all these people are selling online now. If you really start to compare the prices between these different retailers, you'll notice there's not a whole lot of difference. And the reason for that is a lot of these retailers will use software that basically crawls the internet and looks at other competitors' prices. And then if a competitor lowers a price, that software will automatically lower their price accordingly. And so there's not a lot of variance in prices. I'm looking right now for a television for my daughter's bedroom. And I'm looking at 32-inch TVs, 1080p, and I'd like to have some kind of smart TV where it can, stream Roku without an external thing to plug into it. So TCL seems to be the leader in that market space, and I'm looking at their TVs, and I'll type that into Google, and it kind of goes through and gives me some prices. So you can see Best Buy, Walmart, and Amazon, $139 across the board. There's no variance there. And you say, well, wait a second, that Target TV is $120. It's a different TV, a lower resolution. You'll notice Walmart selling that TV for the exact same price. So the book kind of gives you this notion that if you do a lot of comparison shopping on the internet, you're going to find great deals. The reality is a lot of stuff, especially commodities where the product's the same across the board, you might see a couple dollars variances, but there's not going to be a lot of huge price differences anymore just because of the software these retailers are using. So as we wrap up here, just think about for a few minutes, how has the internet kind of changed the way that you operate as a shopper? And you think about the way you used to buy things if you're old enough, 15, 20 years ago to the way you do business now. Has it made it better for you, easier for you to do business? You find you're getting better products, better service? And kind of think about the experiences you have now when you buy online compared to the way it used to be. We'll come back in the next video and we'll talk a little bit about some of the challenges business faced when they go the e-business route. So we'll see you back there for that one.